I'm recording. It says recording right there. Make sure that that says recording, you guys. Don't start talking or doing anything until that says recording, and then get paranoid and check it again, and then start doing it. No, check it again. It says recording. Okay. Finding a place to park your boat in the Arctic is an absolute pain in the ass. These docks here are at BVG, and this is only really suitable for very large boats. So I had an idea. What if I just fix that? This is the first add-on I made, environment add-on. It's a little bit sketchy, but it blends pretty nicely into the existing environment. And the idea with this is that now you can bring any boat here. Got rope anchors, tires, stop you from bonking into it. There's little lights here beside the ladders that will light up during the night, and there's lights all over it. And here we are in the middle of the night. If you happen to be swimming around and you need to find a ladder. Okay, maybe these ones aren't working. It's all a big work in progress. But there's little lights here that'll indicate where the ladders are. I think these spotlights could be a little bit less harsh. But then there's ramps. This ramp is so much easier to get up than using the stairs that come on this dock. And I've tried to build this one in a way where it doesn't really interfere too much with bringing a larger ship in here. There's obviously plenty of space on the other side, but there's no dock bollards on this side, so maybe that's something I could add later. I can't actually remove this yellow thing, the bollard part. The rope anchor is an add-on that's been placed, sort of merged inside of it. But I still think it's okay. Like, you'd be able to bring a large ship along this side if you really had to. And then mainly this is here so that it covers up the stairs and replaces the stairs. So you can see this thing here. The stairs are behind this. These are the original stairs. These are just terrible to try and get up. And they go really far down underwater, so I've just hidden that completely. Got rid of it. A ramp is way better. So this is BVG. And now we're at X-Fury Drilling Co. and Uranium Processing. What a great name. And it's the same kind of deal here. There's just nowhere to bring a small boat. The only real ways you could get here is by a large ship, the train, or you could land a helicopter here probably. But what if you brought a seaplane? What if you brought a RHIB? It's going to be a pain in the ass to park up here, jump out, and then have to swim over to these stairs and then go and do your business. But I can fix that too. This one was a lot more difficult. So behind this wall, there is a fence. There is a fence, one of these rails, these silver rails, inside this wall, and then there is a wall connected to this wall, and then inside of this power transformer there's another rail. So it took a lot of complicated hiding, I suppose, moving around these pieces by fourth place decimals. So the number is like 21.6559 to get it exactly in the right position. But this is the same deal as BVG. We've got lampposts up on the top area of the dock and then down on the floating section as well. And it's the same deal. We've got rope anchors, we've got tires, and we've got the same lights to guide you to the ladders. And this one here is a little bit different because I have this space over here. I've just rounded it off for now, but maybe in the future I can put something more useful like a crane in that spot. And you still get all the space that you would have normally to access via a big ship. But like if you wanted to bring a RHIB in here, or if you had a seaplane, now you've got somewhere that's down at sea level and you've got a nice place to park up. This one also has some seats, which more than anything I just kind of put there because it's a bit of an empty space up here. And so we've got X-Fury there, BVG here, and then the other island, Daylight Oil Refinery. So let's scope this out and figure out where to put a dock. I had a look at this before, and the only real way you can get here is by train. There's nowhere to put a ship, there's no dock. You could land a helicopter here pretty nicely as well. But what about boats? I guess one idea could be to put a dock on this side of the train track. I could do a full length dock that's attached there as well. So you could have full length and then a small one that drops down into the ocean and is floating. I wouldn't bother covering up any of this nonsense. And then maybe it has a steer, one of those bridges, steers and bridges. Actually, it would be ramps. Ramps are a lot better. Or I could put it on this side. If I come off this edge here, do a full height dock, come out a bit, and then maybe drop down. There's not really anywhere useful to attach on the back, so it's either going to have to be on the other side of the train track or on the other side of this wall. The issue I'm seeing with building a dock on the opposite side of the train tracks is that you have to cross the train tracks. That just seems like a unintuitive thing to me. But it does give you access to the gantries if you did bring your boat over here. Putting it on the other side of the wall means you're no longer anywhere near the gantries. I think what I'll do then, I'll start building it for a very long piece down here along the side. They can put you into a closer proximity to the gantry, so if you did want to bring a ship, or even if you just want to use this to refuel your small boat, at least you're kind of close to this. So all we need to really do right now is take note of the color. This color here, this stripe that I'm standing on, is the concrete color of the walls, but you can see the color of the tracks is a little bit different. And then we have the color of the asphalt as well. So if we're building something over here, what color should it be? I would argue that it should be the color of the concrete wall. And then you know it's definitely different from the train track. So how do we start this process? I like to work at Monkey Brain because it is the big workbench and it's on land, so I can spawn things and then just see how they look. What I'm going to do to begin with, I'm going to grab the dock that I made for BVG because this has some of the colors on it. This one here is a wood color. Then I think this is just the gray of pieces like the friction pad. So this piece here is a friction pad. If I go into the paint, this gray here is kind of a very common gray. You can see it's a bit darker. And so if I use this lighter gray, then I can match that to a lot of the pieces that can't have their color changed, because all of the gray pieces are basically that light gray. Like the contact sensor, the little nubby thing is that gray color. These things, or the probes, they're that gray color. It just means I can blend things in a bit nicer. So we've got gray, wood, and then concrete. So first I'm just going to cut a little piece out where I've got all three of these colors. And I should be able to use a new vehicle and then just bring those parts from the docks that I've already built in, because I want to keep everything consistent. The idea with this is that I'll be able to release an Arctic, what do you call it, like floating platform package environment add-on, and it will just have docks for everywhere in the Arctic that give you access primarily for RHIBs, but now that I've started talking and thinking about it, seaplanes is another really good use case for those floating docks. So first things first, I need to make just a little platform and figure out what the actual dimensions are going to be for this thing. So this is the top right, but how am I going to know what's what? And the way I like to do it, if I place a row of blocks that I can easily identify as or easily identifies a way to count them. So I know every red block is one block between the next. And because I need to make this one substantially longer, and it has to be facing that long direction, I'm going to do it like this, where I know I've got a long face. Call this Daylight dock. So I've saved that, I exit, and then I go into the add-on editor. Okay, I've changed the way OBS is recording, so I'm not sure how this is going to come together. But now you can see what's going on in the add-on editor. So I want to go new add-on, Daylight dock. I'll give it a name, and then I want to save it as the Daylight dock. So under environment mods, you click the plus, and then this will give you every location. And the order is kind of doesn't make much sense. So I need to find Daylight. Arctic Oil Refinery, that's probably the one. The only real buttons I want to mess with here is test location and edit objects. Edit objects takes me into this 3D editor thing. And then this little steering wheel here, add vehicle. And then it's basically just your load vehicles menu. So this is the main thing I want to check right now, is which way the vehicle orients itself. So it's like 45 degrees from where the rail track goes. And then I need to bring it up, click the rotate, spin it around, and just get it roughly lined up. And you can see it's got to be like twice as wide as that just to clear the rocks. And this is where I start to wonder if that's a good idea. So when I go into the add-on editor, it doesn't actually take me away from where I am in the main world. If I overwrite and give myself a bigger square, I might have to put these back on it so I can count it out if I need to. But it looks like I'm just going to have to try and go as big as I can, because Daylight dock to clear the rocks seems like it just needs a big space. What you can do, I've just loaded back into where I was. I can click on the vehicle so I get these arrows, and then I can hit the replace vehicle file and load in a new vehicle. So imagine this is lined up with the top of this, which in itself is a bit of a pain because you'll always have to jump up from the tracks onto this. But now I know that if I count out to probably here, probably on this 8th block, and then go straight down, then I could figure out if this is going to fit at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Delete all this. And now I can build a cube or a cuboid. I don't know. I can build a box, a big shoebox, and see what kind of space I'm dealing with. The other thing is the more blocks you place, the more of an impact this is going to have on performance. And it was kind of a nice thing about what I already had with BVG and Xfury is they're quite small places, they're quite small buildings or vehicles. So they won't have much of an impact, and they're also using physics flooders inside everything. So even though there are 3, there's probably more than 3 subgrids on them, but everything that is possible to be physics flooded is. Yep, so this is kind of an issue, I suppose. Even if I wanted to build it here, there's no way that I can get this length on one vehicle. I might be able to XML the workbench to let me build it much longer. But, you know, realistically, you would want it to come the whole way down. And then even if you look at the height here, still got a long way to go before I'm in the water. Before I'm in the ground. It kind of sucks that they've built a wall the whole way around because I'm going to have to go over the wall. Yep, there's no way around that. I'm going to have to build something that goes over the wall. So I think coming over here is the best bet then. If I can clear this wall, then I can build something over here that floats. There's always the other possibility that someone has already built an add-on that goes along here and is servicing large ships. And since servicing large ships isn't my main priority, building over on the side that's kind of a bit more awkward probably helps with any kind of conflict. Okay, so I need to go over a wall, and then I probably need... Do I want a platform that comes out, or do I just want the ramp to start going down straight away? The piece that comes off the wall is going to have to be stairs, I think. It could be a ramp. It could be a really long ramp, except I had some issues with ramps. So I'm not a fan of doing ramps anymore. The thing about this kind of ramp is that the wedges don't have a very good hitbox. And so it's almost like you're not even going up a ramp. You're just hitting a block and then getting bounced up. You hit the first block in the ramp, and then you're bounced up to the next one, and then you just keep bouncing up the whole way through. It's not a consistent ramp. I think what could be actually quite good is to incorporate this corner. So if you were bringing in a train, maybe there's like a platform here that's much higher. This train track is actually clipping in on an angle. So anything I build is not going to line up nicely with that at all. What if I build something across the back here? Let's do some stairs because I think wedges are going to suck. We just need a way to clear that little lip on the other side of the train tracks. I thought this was wood, but it appears to be very close to the train track color. So anyway, this is what I'm now proposing. I'll be able to extend this wall, this concrete wall across. Then there'll be a platform and a rail will go along the side. It can poke over, and then I can extend a long piece to be floating in the water. And then this also sets it up to be kind of close to the gantries and kind of close to the rail. I think the asphalt is the same color as all the grey pieces. I may need to put in some pillars or something to look like this is more supported. Or actually this wall here looks to be a lot wider. It must be different for different areas. Something like that. And then you'll cross all the way along. So actually where I am right now, I could start building down if I wanted to. I'm probably going to extend this wall the whole way across, just to where the train track ends anyway. So if I go one block extra where the train track is, and then bring it down maybe 3 blocks. Something like that. That's actually looks like it's going to line up exactly with where I want it on the ground and the top of the wall there. Needs to be even taller though to clip all the way into the ground. So I probably need to rotate this piece because I want the length to be going the other way. Push this right up to the corner. So now would be a good time to have a look at some of those other docks that I already made and try and get some ideas for how these are styled. So you can see at BVG I've just done all concrete, and then I've gone into this kind of pattern, which I think is actually really nice. It's every 5 bits of middle rail, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is one of these, and then there's also just a solid line through there. So this here is about the end of the train track. What I could do is take these rails, especially this one, corner it into the wall, and I could say this is now the end of the platform and we're back into concrete. And because I've done a lot of these curvy rails, I can use this to blend between these two areas. Right now I don't need to worry too much about the final placement. I just need to make sure that it kind of lines up and goes where I want it to go. This was my main concern, is how am I going to connect this concrete barrier down onto the railroad. And then I just need to pull it out as far as I can and go straight down. And we'll see how far across this can come. And I've already run into a problem now because I wanted my floating area to be out over here. If I come back into this main menu, I can hit test location. I now have to fly all the way out here. This is it. Yeah, I don't like how the stairs kind of slow you down. And this will maybe need to change to a 1x4 wedge. Yeah, it's pretty far away from the water. So back at Monkey Brain, I have a modified workbench. The one that I've been working in is just the normal long one. But this one beside it is more square, and I think it's 150 by 150. So this kind of solves my problem of not being able to fit, but it means I'll have to build everything in here. So now I've got this massive dock area. I feel like this is the wrong approach. This is now becoming just a big ship dock, but it should be a small boat dock. So all of this needs to go. I don't think I'll be working with much concrete on this one. And if I do, it's probably going to be more in the form of like concrete pillars. So I know I can do these pillars. Perhaps these come down to like 6 and then it turns into a big pillar. I get the feeling if I use physics flutters for the internal parts instead of blocks, that will save on performance because I'm not actually telling the game to calculate where all the middle blocks are. It's just the physics flutter is saying all of this space is now solid. I won't seal off the bottom just yet. But if I grab this whole thing, then I can just copy paste this. Yeah, this feels way better. Just a long bridge that clears out over the edge. And then I can probably start the hinge part back here. You're never going to hinge down through the rocks, I don't think. So that's probably not a bad way to do it. So there was a funny rail that's not matched here. This is where I'm going to do the hinge. Oh, it's like a corner. Okay. End. The way I did it here doesn't allow for the rails to go up. This only lets it go down. So this works at BVG because it's on such a steep slope down. There's almost no chance that it's going to come all the way back up. What's happened? What's happened? This is now an issue of consistency. If I keep stairs, then I need to be within this 3 wide spacing. But the way that I've been setting up all my ramps is that they are 5 wide in the middle. So, do I make a 5 wide stair? Can I make a 5 wide stair? So, do a bit of painting, get rid of this concrete color. And yeah, let's see if I can do a 5 wide stair, because that would just be an easy solution for this. So it would extend out into here and into here. And for this, I need VS code, vehicles, daylight dock. There's only one steer because I changed how this worked. So the steer is normally 3 blocks long. So if I make the R value 2 instead of 1, it's going to hopefully just double the length of that and make it 6. The way it centers it is a bit weird though. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Huh, okay. So the other thing then is, what about the steer step, right? Because only the top one, I think. I'm not sure if I want to make the top one like terminate on a solid end, or if I want to have a wedge coming up into it. Steer top and steer segment, so both of them will be 2. Then all I've got to do here is grab all this, shift all this across, merge it back in, and now we're 5 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the only concern right now is, what is this hitbox like? If I just replace it here and see how it works, I should be able to get a feel for it. Huh. I think it's just totally stretched that hitbox out. It feels like maybe there's some wonky places in it, but yeah, it feels a bit wonky. So now the question is, can I XML a wedge to be invisible and still retain its wedge properties? So all those yellow blocks are nothing, and the original hitbox of the steers has been pushed out. I don't need these underside ones. We are looking for FFE, and it looks like none of them have rotation numbers on them. This one here was a block, right? So I want to get this wedge to there. I want to find all of those, and I want to replace with essentially the same thing, but between the O and the BC, put in a bunch of zeros. And then we hit replace all, and then we just need to paste in the R value zeros on that normal block there. Save that and edit the object, replace the object, test the location, teleport all the way back, and you won't know any different, and it looks like the wedges are not there. I'll just leave that for now because I'm sure there's a way that I'll be able to turn that into a ramp and have it invisible. So you'd come across, and then where it is now, we'll begin the pivot. So this is pretty much the same as the other thing, as the other bit of rail, except it's got a rocket booster down the side. And so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull it up one more. Get rid of these stretched boosters. I'm not sure how long this one needs to be because it is dropping quite a lot. Because it is dropping so much and it is so long, what I might do is spin it around. Get it going this way. Isn't that magical? It all just lines up. Except what I probably want to do is some paint blocks. So now I've got the small bridge part in my corner, and then it goes onto the pivoting part, which should all be set to zeros and nothings. And then I can attach a platform out on the end. Let's have a look and see if it's going to work. Every time you add pieces to a vehicle and then try and replace it back in the world, it moves it around a little bit. I'm not sure if there's really anything you can do about that, but it's just how it is. Oh dear. It seems like I get stuck even with the wedges there, so maybe steers are just a bad option. And then this must be not completely straight. Yeah, I think if it was straight, it would just be in the water, which means it needs to come out a little bit more. To be really safe, I want to grab from just beyond this post here and duplicate this whole thing here. That should be really clear of the rocks now, and it looks massive, but I think when it's like in place, it doesn't feel so big because it's beside all the other stuff. So I've cut the X-Fury platform, and if I flip it around, I can just attach this in place for now until I figure out the exact shape. And it just means I can start seeing how it's going to be floating. So I think, yeah, you need to get rid of those bottom ones so that these parts of the rails can pass through. Now that I've got that, I don't need any of these, which means hopefully none of them have gone green, which is maybe bad. I'm going to seal this up so it will float. Kind of eyeballing it, which sucks. It's not a really good way to do it. The only thing I'm not sure how to change right now in the files is the rotation. So I need to make sure it's at least mostly lined up with this wall. If you pull your mouse out further away from the center, then you've got more control over how it rotates. Yeah, this ramp needs to be a lot longer. Or it would be nicer if it were longer. I think it's a bit steep. It is just going up such a huge amount. It's still better than stairs though, I think. It's so much better than stairs. I wonder if you can accidentally... No, you can't accidentally get off there. That's good. You do kind of get stuck in the hinge if you spend too much time there. I kind of don't mind that it's so steep, to be honest. It's probably not bad that it's got this piece here. And then this needs to be a lot longer. Which it looks like it can be quite a bit longer. This is probably going to be the largest platform that I make. And it'd be really good if I could do a ramp for this section as well, but it's kind of impossible as far as I know to let the other end of the ramp glitch into the ground and stay permanently fixed there. But this is still 1000% better than trying to jump up the rocks. If you do get over this side, you can see the wall is all connected. And instead of trying to jump up, you can just come back down over here and run up the ramp. So if I cut this section off and then grab this piece on the side, I can just extend it as many times as I want. I think 3 is okay though. Don't want to make it too big, and I'm also going to run out of space inside the build zone. Along this rear section, I want to keep just tires. So they are spaced out. I believe they were spaced out in the same position that these were in. Yeah, and then this one is just because it's 2 to the end. So that one goes there, and then this one goes there, and then it's 2 to the end. Okay, and that's going to line up real nice. Something like that, and I think I can just take this whole lamppost, copy this, and it can go basically anywhere. Might take another one and put it up. Might actually take 2, put 2 of them along here. Yep, one at the start and one at the corner. And then there's this longer piece here. I don't think it needs to go all the way along, but if it came quite far along, I think that's quite good. I'll go to here. So what I've been doing is just a tire and then 2 blocks, and then it curves. And so I'll grab this corner. And then I guess because it's only, oh, it's uneven. Maybe I do that. Maybe I don't have anything on here. Something like that. So the way I've been spacing out all the rails with intervals of 5 means that everything just sort of lines up in the right place. I think maybe I can put another lamppost in as well. This one is starting to feel a bit too large, but at least it's not super overkill. We've got the main area, we've got the ramp, the floating section, and now we need to come in and make sure there's no wonky blocks sitting in here. There is a physics flutter in here, so that will make sure all of this is optimized as one massive chunk. Then we've got these pillars which need to be closed up, and the physics flutter in them will make sure they're all one chunk. I'm sure that the game won't like it if I just make this wall one massive block. So I'm going to hollow it out and put in a physics flutter. All the rails appear to be good. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I need to save this, and now I need to grab the clock system. So in BVG and Xfury, they have the same system, and it is this. It is a battery, a microcontroller, and a clock. And I've hidden these inside the main structure. So for this one, it'll be inside this wall. The battery will have to play a bit of wall, which should be fine if I paste it here and then color over this, and you'll never know. And I'm connecting all of the lights and pivots onto the battery. This is to make sure that all my lights turn on. We've got connections between all of these lights. Then we have the on-off signal for the lights. So this turns on all the lights as dusk starts to happen, so the twilight of dusk, and then all the lights turn off in the twilight of dawn. And I've set it up so it should be, I think they come on at 5:30 at night and they turn off at 6:30 in the morning, something like that. It's enough that it lets the day actually brighten up before they all turn off, and they all turn on before the night gets too dark. I feel like I've got it pretty much on 90 degrees here. I don't really have any good way to tell though what the actual angle of that is. So what you want to do is come and have a look. I know I can walk up this. I don't really care where it is on the train track. Maybe if I pull it back away from the train track so that the stairs merge into the asphalt. I've got a light post, run across. You can run down. Nice big space if you wanted to bring a boat, park a boat up beside it. So if I go into no clip and zoom out, yeah, you can see the front, this end is lifting quite a bit more than this end, so I would need to put some weight blocks in the end that's lifting out of the water. Then what I want to check here is if there's any weird clipping. See this? This means that the platform is slightly lower. Just ever so slightly lower. If I come back into VS Code, so all of your missions, all of your environment add-ons, they're in missions. I think there's a helicopter landing. This one is called the Daylight dock. And then this playlist.xml is where you'll find the position data for this. I haven't saved the add-on since I created it, so I need to go back to Stormworks. I need to go to the add-on editor and I need to overwrite the Daylight dock. And it's gone. And it's back again. How do I get rid of this guy? Well, that's not how you get rid of that guy. But anyway, this is my problem area. So what I want to do is I go into no clip. So I am floating here. The camera is floating here. Doesn't matter if this add-on disappears or moves or does anything. I won't be moved and my character won't be harmed. Then what I'm going to do is hop over to VS Code, and this is the playlist. So this is the file where the position data is set. And if we look at this line here, spawn local offset, Y is up and down, and then X and Z are X and Z axis, so like left and right, forwards and backwards kind of thing. And you can see some of these have 3 decimal places, but I found you need to get to 4 decimal places to be extremely accurate. So basically what I'm going to do is just move these numbers slightly. So for the first one, the Y, I need to go up a little bit. So if I add probably to the 4th decimal place, save that, and then I just have to reload Stormworks over and over again. So I come back into the add-on editor and I load the Daylight dock and then test the location. Because I'm in no clip mode, my camera stays in the same place when I load it back in. And then I can just keep doing this, reloading it, loading and changing and reloading. And I've also just noticed when you look at it on this angle, it's definitely not lined up. And that is an absolute pain because the only way I know how to do rotation is to actually come in here and use this rotate tool. If anyone knows what values I need to change to rotate, let me know, because this is the worst thing ever. I mean, that looks like a right angle. The other thing is when I move it, I bet it's going to move within the directions of these arrows. So I'm going to have to move in 2 directions at the same time to line it up properly. So now I need to save over it again, test, and I'm still floating here, but that looks a lot more straighter. So now I just have to try and mess around with the Y value. It's getting close. Initially what I'm doing is going up in increments of like 0.005 until I get to this point where you can only just see it. You can only just see it. So now I know I need to go up a tiny little bit more. And this is where I start adding a 4th decimal place. And that was 0.0005. Pushed it up a little bit too high. This is 0.0002. I can see it. It's there. I think it's forgivable though. So now I need to move it along X and Z axis at the same time. So first I'll just move X and see what happens. We've gone too far. It's ever so slightly too far. So this is where I need a 4th decimal place. We'll go 0.2735. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay. I can still see it. Yeah, it's too much. It might actually be rotated. Yeah, it's got a slight rotation on it. It's very, very hard to see, and it's very hard to move the camera. See how that just doesn't quite line up? It's so close that most people probably won't notice, but I know it's there and it's going to bother me. So I need to figure out a way to fix that. I will have to move it all again anyway, because I will add weights into the base of this. And that will again move where this is positioned. I'm not sure why, because it won't be affecting the overall outside parameters. Like, it doesn't make it any longer or taller, doesn't make it any shorter or narrower or anything. It only increases the weight on one edge. So I don't really know what's up with that, but it will change where the bounding box is. But if we have a look at nighttime here, you can see all the lights go on. Makes it pretty easy to navigate around. We've got lights all the way along by all the ladders. So if you do happen to be swimming about needing to find a ladder, you can just come straight towards the lights. This one is a bit taller and a bit of a longer run just because of how high up it is. Could probably do with another light post in the middle there. Yeah, I think that's a good outcome. So I would say that's basically at the same stage as all the other islands that I have done. So BVG is done, X Fury is done, and Daylight is done. I want to get these kind of docks at every kind of position that you would want them at. So I think somewhere that has access to the hospital would be a good idea. I think this is a good entry point, but there's no road, so it's kind of not that good. Maybe somewhere like this where you can come up to Endo. There's a little pier thing here, but very suspicious. Under here for accessing Trinite could be good. And yeah, Crail definitely needs one. I think the ones that I really want to focus on will be Crail, because there is no other way to get up onto the dock here. You'd have to swim all the way around to the back. Should be kind of a pain, but I think even just down here at the end, something that pokes off the end by the gantry would probably be really good. And then the other one would be at Tajin. I'm kind of just trying to eliminate anywhere that there's these stairs. Hate these stairs. There is a lot of rails though, which is the only other thing. It's a real pain to try and fight these rails. And because the workbench is over here, there's even more rails though. I could make it where it comes off in line with this rail, and then the ramp goes down this way, away from the workbench. Perhaps some kind of entry point up along the back here would be really good as well. These really steep areas could use a ramp. So yeah, this is just a little side project to hopefully help me with playing career mode in the Arctic. Gives me somewhere to park the RHIB, and will just make my life a whole bunch easier getting around places out here. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.